They've taken this flight simulator out of the home of the pilot. They're poring over it for details. What do you think they might be able to learn from that?
Well, he was a flight simulator enthusiast, which I found just a little odd. I'm a flight simulator enthusiast, but that's because I'm a frustrated pilot. I think that's kind of the community of people who do this. We fly in our computers. He's a professional pilot with nearly 20,000 hours. I thought it a little strange that he would enjoy doing this, but he obviously spent a lot of money and created a lot of monitors, but the software...
Right, he took it a step farther. This was not on a MacBook.
But let me show you. I brought my little setup over here. We can just walk across the studio.
This is
basically what I'm running is on a Mac. It's a program called X-Plane, and this just happens to be a 777, a Malaysian 777. We're sitting on the ground right now.
Video games, you guys. Favorite part of the show.
Well, that was the whole thing. It used to be like video games, but these things have become increasingly complicated.
And you can see with the level of detail, it's way more than a game.
And accurate. Yeah, you can flare. I'll just get us in the air rather than taking the time to take off. But let's see.
So how unusual would it be for actual pilots to fool around in a piece of software like this?
Well, I think it's a little odd, again, if you're flying the real thing. But here, we're flying. I can bank and do all that stuff. But here's the real key here. You're not going to learn how to flying one of these, but you can learn the systems. For example, the autopilot. If you're flying, as this plane was likely on autopilot, and you walk in the cockpit right now, if you want to steer the airplane, you don't have to get in and start doing this. You simply, you start moving this heading knob right here. And if this plane was on autopilot, the plane would start banking in whatever direction I told it to do, and it wouldn't be sharp. The passengers, it would feel like a normal bank. We talk about let me just get over here. We talk about the transponder. Let me show you. That's going to be all the way down here. Turning off is no big deal.
So the first system to turn off, though, was the ACAR system, correct?
ACAR system, and
how tough is that to pull off?
That's not something that I think they would typically turn off. I think my understanding that involves pulling some circuit breakers, which are on the roof of the airplane. You'd have to know what you're looking for, because that's not something a pilot would typically deal with.
And this particular model of plane is relatively new, right, Lester? So not a lot of people have that expertise.
Yeah, I mean, the 777 came out in '95. In fact, I flew on the inaugural commercial flight of the 777 on United Airlines. They were the first customer. They've updated it now. There's the 300 model, the 300ER. But the planes are heavily electric right now, so obviously the circuit breakers are key. But that transponder is very interesting. Now, you asked about what they would find on his, let me just get us back down here, what they would find on his computer.
Right, what are they looking for?
All right, this is the flight management computer on a real airplane. This is what it looks like, and this is where you program all your waypoints, how you're going to fly, how the autopilot's going to fly. If an investigator took my computer right now and said, what's Lester been doing on his flight simulator? Well, they could go in here.
This is everybody's worst nightmare, searching your internet history, but for flights.
Well, yeah, except in this case, we're going to look at routes.
Right.
And they'd go into route request here, and whoa, KLAX, KSFO. He's been flying between Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Now we know your favorite hotspots.
And not only that, we know he took off on runway 25 right. He went to the Ventura departure. And you could see I've been doing that. So
And how detailed would the record be on a flight simulator like this? Destinations, but also, would you see speed? Would you see altitude?
You might, yeah. You would see the flight plan. So, for example, if assuming the pilot was involved, if he had programmed this turn at that key point during that handoff between Malaysia and Vietnam, perhaps he had practiced it. I would think they're also looking at his other computers. Was he looking up anything about radar coverage in some of these countries, as you head west out towards the Indian Ocean? So it may be a combination of what was going on in the simulator as well as he was searching, in his personal computer history.
Right. I